Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley. We are joined today by Katherine Perez-Estolano. She is a candidate for the California State Senate, District number 25. We'll call it the Foothill District of the San Gabriel Valley. What a bunch of wonderful cities in this district. Burbank all the way to Upland, including Glendora, Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Monrovia, Glendora, I'm missing a few, Claremont, and a lot of the Angeles National Forest.
80% of the district is Angeles
National
Forest.
But
yes.
The population clearly is down here. Talk to me about the district. Wow, I mean, long, diverse, but great cities.
It's an amazing constellation of cities and assets, and in fact, one of the most dynamic things I think that is an attribute you won't find anywhere else in Southern California is the Angeles National Forest, and actually just received a national monument designation.
Congresswoman Judy Chu, all over that.
I'm very excited about that. The thing that I had hoped was that would come with a significant amount of resources. We got about $6 million getting through that. Those monies go to mostly nonprofits and other organizations. I was hoping, in a selfish way, that the money might come directly to kind of the state park program, and that we actually might be able to have money that would funnel to the state parks that would then be able to partner with the local cities and jurisdictions.
If you're in the Senate, can you prevail upon either California State Parks or the federal system to fund?
Well, we have a state park program, and we have an agency, and as you may recall, Brad, a number of years ago we had some issues with the management. They were closing down the parks, and they had like $52 million.
I remember this. Oh, it was a mess. The audit was frightening.
It was a statement about mismanagement, actually, and I think a lack of oversight from the legislature. It's one of the reasons why I decided that it was important to run, was because of our state parks, and they're an important resource for the district. But you know, I was looking at the Coastal Commission, right?
Well, that's another mess,
well,
arguably speaking.
The Coastal Commission, though, is protecting public access to our beaches. And so the Coastal Commission is a body, a public body, that has the ability to have enforceable laws put in place to be able to say, we are going to protect public access and not privatize the beaches. So to me, that is an important public oversight, and we simply don't have that with the state park system. And a number of years ago, the governor did put together a Parks Forward Commission after the state park issue. And they put together, as a result of this commission, they wrote a plan basically called Park Vision 2030, and that plan identified a lot of the issues that had become a problem for a state park system. And they also wanted to make sure that there was an additional foundation set up. They want to make sure that there's kind of closer oversight. But I really believe that we need stronger involvement from the legislature to ensure that the state parks, when you go to the state park, number one, that the fees, you know, that you're not paying exorbitant fees so that you can access the park, but also that the experience is a good experience, that the facilities are well maintained, that the parks are taken care of. And when I decided to run, I met with a bunch of biologists and others that said, you know, we haven't been taking care of our forests because the drought has really affected them. And at that time, we thought El Nino would come. It hasn't come.
Not in Southern California.
And it's not coming, right? So La Nina's here.
Right.
And so what does that mean for our parks? And importantly, what does that mean for the forest? And I think that it's a natural resource that we simply haven't been investing in.
Let me ask you, California in a lot of ways is schizophrenic when it comes to its green space. On the one hand, it cherishes its green space. It cherishes its coast. On the other hand, it can complain about overregulation, park fees, park mismanagement. And so how do you balance that, presuming victory?
Well, I would say, for me, it's a resource that Californians have a right and access to.
Right.
Just like, you know, there's the deserts, and just like we have the beaches and we have the mountains, but the forests are such a vulnerable part of our ecosystem.
Well, we know they're vulnerable. We know what's happening with the drought. What is it, 15 million trees have perished as a result of the drought? I mean, it is frightening what is happening as a result.
And when I was talking to biologists to understand what was the condition of our forests, if you recall, last year a report was done out of UC Davis. It could have been out of Berkeley, but I believe it was Davis, and they found that our parks, our forests are so compromised due to the drought, and they have these parasites. And the fact is that we're not spending the kind of resources or the kinds of making the kinds of decisions to make sure that they survive, that they're doing well.
Here's another study. Stanford University, summer 2015, 58 million trees covering 2.4 million acres have been lost.
Yeah.
30% of the canopy water content since 2011 lost. Our trees are severely stressed.
Yeah.
888 million large trees saw measurable water loss in over 26 million acres of forest.
And you know, the problem is that what I thought was, well, okay, these trees are going to kind of collapse down. They're going to we'll have regrowth. That's not what's going to happen. The way that these trees are dying is that we will not be able to have them reseed. So we have to actually go in there and plant new trees, and we have to actually have them root so that we can actually rebuild our forests. And it's a process that we have to actually spend the time and resources and energy to commit to.
Is there a commitment, though? Or will you create that commitment when you get to the California State Senate?
That's what we're talking about. We need champions, and we need people in the legislature that will actually say this is an important resource, just as the coasts are, just as the deserts are. And we have to have that.
That's interesting. I never thought of that because look, the coasts we protect, the deserts we protect, the Angeles National Park we protect. I mean, that's forest.
Yeah.
But there isn't a lot of focus on forests per se.
Well, the state parks, and I talked to a lot of cities that the foothill communities, you know, they have this ribbon, right, that they share, and a number of the cities actually bought their pieces of the parks because that abut the forest because they felt like there wasn't enough. There weren't resources being given to them, and they weren't actually managed well. So the cities, or some of the cities, have taken upon themselves to purchase the foothills that are adjacent to them. And I think that that's a message to me that the state needs to participate more effectively with the local cities.
I want to talk more about the Foothill District, that CD or SD 25. The incumbent who is not allowed to run for re-election is Carol Liu.
Correct.
Carol Liu is a woman.
Correct.
And you're a woman, but we know the number of women in the California State Senate is down. We also know the number of Latinas in the California State Senate is 0.
Correct.
We know that the California State Senate has only seen women since 1976. I mean, this is a new institution for women, which is shocking. I was alive in 1976.
We all remember 1976
yes, we do.
at some level.
I know. So the question is, look, you're obviously more than just your gender. You're an expert in urban planning and park planning and real estate, whatever it may be. But is your gender of relevance in this race?
You know, when I decided to run, Brad, and I appreciate the question, when I decided to run, I did not realize that the state Senate had no Latinas serving in at the upper house. And there are 5 state senators that are Latinos, and there's only 40 senators altogether. So the Latino community is well represented.
And the head of the state Senate is a Latino.
Senator,
the head of the Assembly is a Latino.
Correct. And so what I feel is missing in the conversation in terms of the issues that women simply bring to the table is that legislation's being made absent that perspective. And I think it's a critical perspective.
And I think about, I mean, some may find this irrelevant, but many don't. Christina Garcia, Assemblywoman. Her big issue this year is the tampon tax.
Yeah.
I don't see a man bringing up the tampon tax. I could be wrong.
I don't think it would happen.
Yeah, I don't think it would happen.
I think the issues that women bring up, and 50% of the Latino population are women. So we're talking about half of the Latino population not being represented in a state like California that was highly diverse and is minority. Well, I would say.
Well, we now do have a plurality of Latinos in this state.
That's right. And so it's just, to me, at this date and time, that we should have, I think, at least one Latina in the state Senate.
Is it too much to ask?
Is it too much? But I found that out only after. But it's also a consideration. I know the LA Times and other newspapers have actually brought up the issue of the lack of women in representative, whether it's Congress or in the state
I
legislature.
mean, 1992 was such a big year in the wake of the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas scandal, and we've seen numbers spike, and now they've dropped recently. You'll come back?
I'll come back.
Her name is Katherine Perez-Estolano. She is a member, or hoping to be a member, of the California State Senate. My name is Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.